The air in the mountains of Laguna was thick with enchantment. Every leaf, every ripple of water from the springs, every soft rustle of the wind whispered of ancient magic. And at the heart of it all, Mariang Makiling reigned as a protector, a goddess whose beauty and grace made her both feared and revered. Her dark hair flowed like the rivers that nourished the valleys below, and her skin gleamed like the moonlight that kissed the peaks. For centuries, Mariang watched over the people of Laguna, gifting them bountiful harvests, lush forests, and endless beauty. She moved like the breeze, unseen but felt, her presence a constant reminder of the harmony that could exist between the land and its people. But one day, that harmony was disrupted, not by war, not by famine, but by something much simpler, love. Juan de Rivera, a handsome young guardia civil, was stationed in the Philippines, far from his native Spain. With his bronze skin and hazel eyes, he was a striking figure in his uniform, a man of honor and discipline. But deep inside he was weary. The heat, the unfamiliar customs, the distance from his homeland, they weighed on him. He longed for something, though he did not know what. His fiancée, Isabel, was waiting for him back in Spain, a promise he had yet to fulfill, but in the depths of his soul one felt restless. It was on one of his solitary patrols through the mountains that one first saw her. She was perched on a rock by a waterfall, her hair cascading down her back, her eyes dark and mesmerizing. There was something otherworldly about her, as though she was not entirely human, and yet she drew him in like a magnet. He could not resist. He dismounted his horse, moved closer, and before he could speak, she smiled. "You are lost," she said, her voice a melodic whisper that seemed to echo off the trees. "I am," he admitted, though he wasn't sure if she was referring to his physical location or something deeper. That was the beginning. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. One found himself returning to the mountains again and again, seeking Mariang out as if he had no choice. In her presence he felt alive, a feeling he had never known in Spain, not even with Isabel. They spoke little, but their connection was profound. Soon, it was more than just words between them. The air was filled with the unspoken, and it wasn't long before they became lovers. Together, they built a life in the mountains. Maria's magic made the land abundant. Fruits ripened quicker than they could harvest, flowers bloomed endlessly, and the animals thrived. In this paradise, one forgot about Spain, about Isabel, and even about his duty as a soldier. Maria's love was intoxicating, and for a while, he believed he could stay with her forever. But time has a way of reminding even the happiest of men of their promises. The letters from Spain, tucked away in the bottom of his pack, began to weigh on him. His fiancée was waiting. His family was waiting. And as much as he tried to push it away, guilt crept into his heart. One night, as he lay beside Mariang, her skin warm against his, he whispered his truth. "I must return to Spain." Mariang stirred, her eyes flickering with sadness, though she remained silent for a moment. "Why?" she finally asked, though in her heart she already knew. "There's someone waiting for me." "Isabiru." "I promised her." "You promised me," Mariang interrupted, her voice sharp like the edge of a blade. "You promised me eternity." His heart ached, torn between duty and the love he had found here. I thought I could stay, but I must go back." For the first time, Mariang felt something she had never experienced before, betrayal. Her love, so freely given, was now being cast aside. She had given him everything, even the mountains themselves, and yet it was not enough. She rose from the bed, her hair streaming behind her like a storm. "Go then," she whispered, her voice dark with sorrow. "But know this, for your betrayal, every firstborn son of your line will know what it is to love and lose. Their love will always be unrequited, and they will die of despair. This curse, Juan, is my gift to you." One left, as many men do when they are faced with a choice between love and duty. He returned to Spain, married Isabel, and never spoke of the woman in the mountains again. But the curse held, strong as steel, and for 400 years, every firstborn male in his family fell into the same tragic pattern. They would love deeply, passionately, but it would always end the same: heartbreak, despair, and death. Centuries passed, and Mariang Makiling remained in her mountains, untouched by time but haunted by her own curse. Though the land remained bountiful under her care, a shadow lingered in her heart. Her beauty had turned cold, her once open heart now locked behind walls of grief. She watched over the generations, but love no longer moved her. Until one day she saw him. He was walking through the forest, tall and handsome, with the same bronze skin and hazel eyes as Juan de Rivera. A mestizo, his Spanish heritage clearly mingled with Filipino blood, and yet there was something unmistakably familiar about him. Maria's heart, frozen for centuries, began to stir. She followed him silently, drawn to him as if by fate. His name was Javier, the latest descendant of Juan, though he knew nothing of the curse that bound his family. He had come to the mountains for a retreat, unaware that destiny was pulling him towards something far greater than a simple vacation. When he saw Maria standing beneath a canopy of trees, her beauty unlike anything he had ever seen, he was captivated. They met, and it was as if time itself bent around them. Their attraction was instantaneous, undeniable. They spoke little, but the connection between them was deeper than words could convey. Like one before him, Javier was drawn into Maria's world, the magic of the mountains wrapping around him like a warm embrace. They made love beneath the stars, their bodies entwined, their souls seeming to merge as one. For the first time in 400 years, Maria felt hope stir in her heart. Could it be that the curse had finally been broken? Could love, after all this time, find its way back to her? But as dawn broke, the truth came crashing down upon her. She felt it like a mortal wound, a deep, agonizing pain that tore through her chest. Javier was the firstborn son of one's lineage. The curse, though twisted, had returned, not upon him, but upon her. Maria fell to her knees, gasping for breath as the weight of generations of heartache and loss crushed her. She felt every moment of unrequited love, every death, every despair that had plagued the men of one's family. It was as if the curse had turned inward, reversing upon her in an act of cosmic justice. Javier watched in horror as Maria, the woman he had just fallen in love with, writhed in agony. He tried to reach for her, to comfort her, but her body was fading, her form dissolving into the mist of the mountains. She had taken on the pain of every broken heart, and now it was too much to bear. In her final moments, Mariang Makiling understood the cruelty of the curse she had laid upon one's descendants. She had wanted them to suffer, to feel the betrayal she had felt, but now she knew love, real love, was never meant to be punished. The curse, born of anger and grief, had only caused more pain. And now she would suffer the greatest pain of all, unrequited love, just as she had once wished upon them. As she disappeared into the mist, her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. She had finally felt love again, but it had come at the greatest cost. And so, the mountains of Laguna, once filled with magic and beauty, were left silent. Mariang Makiling, the guardian of the land, was gone. But her curse, now turned inward, would remain. She would haunt the mountains, her presence no longer seen but felt, a shadow of what once was, a ghost of the love she had lost. And the mountains wept for her.